Like, we needed any more evidence, any more proof that Gavin Newsom wants ICE agents killed. So coming up at 6:37 or so, we're going to speak to Jonathan Fahey about just this topic from a legal standpoint. But this was Gavin Newsom yesterday. What he wants to do is he wants to unmask ICE agents. And this is what he said. I can't believe he said this, but this is what Gavin Newsom said.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
I mean, come on. What are you afraid of? Really? Just after the assassination, the murder of Charlie Kirk? And Gavin Newsom says, what are you afraid of? Gee, I don't know, Gavin Newsom. What the heck do you think we're afraid of? And you know the threats against law enforcement, threats against ICE agents, they are up exponentially. And so earlier in the broadcast, we were playing audio, Harry Enton. He was talking about, I love this. Harry Enton was talking about which political party is more trusted with immigration and crime. And the Democrats are losing big time on both. And the Gavin Newsom story, it dovetails right into that. What are the three big topics coming up for the midterm elections? You've got the economy, you've got crime, and you've got immigration or illegal immigration. And on those three, if you just joining us, on those three, the Republicans are by far trusted on all three of those issues, including from independents. And so when Gavin Newsom says, oh, ICE agents, I'm going to sign legislation, which, by the way, Gavin Newsom has zero authority, no authority over federal law enforcement to try to force them to take off their masks. But for him to say, oh, Mr. Tough Guy, right? What are you afraid of? It's crazy. And by the way, let's also not forget Gavin Newsom, the mask king there in California, wanted people to mask up for far, far too long. By the way, obviously, while he himself was not the ultimate in hypocrisy. But he's not calling for Antifa to be demasked or unmasked. He's not calling for the guys throwing rocks at ICE agents and ICE vehicles. He's not calling for those people to be unmasked. No, he's calling for law enforcement to be unmasked. This is ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons, and this is what he had to say about all of this. And him, like many conservatives around the country, looking at Gavin Newsom and saying, you know what, Gavin, thank you. Thank you for playing right into, frankly, our hands. I mean, this is not what we want because we want to protect our ICE agents. But this is what Gavin Newsom and the Democrats want. And this plays right into the fact that our side of the aisle is far, and I mean far more trusted on illegal immigration or immigration and crime.
I wish the governor would lobby for legislation to help protect people of law enforcement, not just the men and women of ICE, but all law enforcement. You see FBI agents, DEA, ATF having to do the same thing because there are these groups that are out there just doxing agents all the time.
Yep. And
I really wish the governor would want to do something joint, stand with us and say, hey, we're going to protect the men and women of law enforcement. But no, he wants to go ahead and work to shield criminal illegal aliens that are causing havoc in the United States. That's what frustrates me the most.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it frustrates everybody, but this is what Gavin Newsom and the Democrats, this is what they want to do. And I'll tell you what, they're going to live or die by the protecting of illegal aliens and illegal alien gang members. So we'll speak with Jonathan Fahey about that coming up at 6:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. For those of you who are curious, you're waking up, Jimmy Kimmel will be back tonight. The question is, will anybody be watching? Because Sinclair, who is owner of a lot of the television stations that Jimmy Kimmel is on, they're saying, you know what? We are not going to carry his show unless there is a negotiation and an apology, and only if he dials down the the rhetoric. So we'll continue to talk about that and cover that as well. Have some other stories I do want to get to. I don't have time. In the 7 o'clock hour is when I'll do the Donald Trump versus Tylenol story. We'll cover that at the top of the hour in the 7 o'clock here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I do want to get to a little bit of this battle going on between Keith Olbermann and Scott Jennings. I don't know. Did you guys see this?
I did. Whoa.
So Keith Olbermann, and realize Keith Olbermann is an idiot. I mean, on so many levels. And again, he is irrelevant at best. But Keith Olbermann actually tweeted or posted on the socials that Scott Jennings was next. That's right. That's what he said. Here's if you're watching us on social media, if you're watching us on YouTube, Keith Olbermann posted to Scott Jennings, "You're next, MFer." That's what Keith Olbermann said. "You're next, MFer." But keep mugging to the camera. So Keith Olbermann, I mean, here's a guy.
He took the post down, right?
He did. He took the post down.
Yeah.
As
Internet's
he should.
forever, buddy.
The internet is absolutely forever. But here's the thing, is that does anybody really care what Keith Olbermann at this point says? Because he's clearly, I think that he's right up there with some of these other folks that are just, they don't have a lot going on. And this is the only way that they can try to make themselves relevant.
See, I would counter that. I think it's not that they don't have a lot going on; it's that they're desperate for relevance, and they also are so detached from the rest of the hoi polloi in society. They just think so much of themselves that while he's probably in his car smelling his own farts, he's thinking he's gonna, I'm gonna get Scott Jennings with this tweet.
Right. Well, so then he tried to fix it. Keith Olbermann tried to fix it because he tried to bring up Jimmy Kimmel and how Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. And what Olbermann, he went back and tried to fix it and tried to talk about how, no, I was talking about, your radio show, your television career. That's what he tried to paint it as. Everybody knows, though, what Keith Olbermann was doing. They say this. This is from the New York Post. Olbermann appears to have been responding to a tweet from Jennings, reacting to ABC reinstating late-night host Jimmy Kimmel after he was pulled off the air for offensive comments related to conservative activist Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now we get the fascists off real TV. That'd mean your career is next, Jennings. Send a tape to Real America's Voice. Olbermann posted in that thread a possible clarification to what he meant. In other words, I think that he posted it and then he realized, oh, crap. I probably shouldn't have said that. Although, you know what? If you want Keith Olbermann fired, where are you going to fire him from? You know what I mean? You're going to fire him from his mom's basement? You're going to fire him from the internet? I mean, listen, he's allowed, again, First Amendment, folks, he's allowed to say and do what he wants. And that's what he chose to do with his First Amendment. So whatever. But you can't fire him. He's already been fired from just about every, liberal network there is. And when you're kooky enough that you can't even get on MSNBC, what does that tell you about your shtick? So anyway, but there's a lot of other Democrats, a lot of other progressives who are chiming in on what Olbermann had to say. All right, Jasmine Crockett is out there as well. It's interesting. You had Gavin Newsom, as he was trying to unmask ICE agents, say, "What are you afraid of?" Well, let's hear what Jasmine Crockett had to say, because she was on CNN with Dana Bash. And the more that you hear Jasmine Crockett speak about Republicans and Democrats and everything that is going on these days, the more it really does seem like she wants it to be open season on the Republicans. That's what it seems like to me. And I got to tell you, the more we hear about Jasmine Crockett and the things that she says, the more she really does seem to be leaning right into hoping for another assassination. That's what it seems like to me. And I know that sounds, what's the best way to, hyperbolic? Is that what you would say? But yeah. What's that, Joan?
No, I was saying, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That
my voice isn't that deep.
Thanks, Dan.
You're right, Dan. All right, here is Jasmine Crockett on CNN. Listen to this. And here we go.
Well, on that note, I do want to turn to something that you heard the senator just say, which is he was talking about a resolution that came before the House this past week honoring Charlie Kirk. And there were 58 Democrats who voted against it. You were one.
Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely. You know what? One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color.
All right, so that's a question. Why is it that all but 2 of the representatives in the House of Representatives who voted no on, the Charlie Kirk remembrance, why is it all of the Democrats in the House who, voted against this thing were, as she said, people of color? Is it possible that they have, because I posted this on social media. Please, Jasmine, tell us exactly what videos are out there that show Charlie Kirk being a racist. I'll wait, because nobody can come up with one. You have all of these, all of these Democrats out there that are, I'm air quoting this, people of color who are voting against this Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk based on a lie that he was a racist, when clearly he was not.
No votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color.
Where, Jasmine Crockett? And here's the thing, Dana Bash doesn't ask for any kind of proof or clarification.
And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that...
Can I ask a question? How harmful would Charlie Kirk's rhetoric be to people of color when we had a black president? Right? I mean, we've got black governors. We've got all these people of color in the House of Representatives, right? So please tell me, Jasmine Crockett, where are the videos that you can find that prove that Charlie Kirk was hurtful or harmful or racist to people of color? See, she can't. Remember all those videos that I keep mentioning? Go to my X feed. You'll find them of black people that are discovering that Charlie Kirk was not a racist. See, I've got the video to prove that there's black folks out there, just because this is what Jasmine Crockett's talking about. I've got video proving that black people are discovering Charlie Kirk was not a racist, and it's people like Jasmine Crockett who are being caught lying.
A month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that
I wonder why
I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement. Yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff, especially as a civil rights attorney, and understanding how I got to Congress, knowing that there were people that died, people that were willing to die, that worked to make sure that voices like mine could exist in this place.
You know what's so interesting? Like, if she discovered that, and I don't know of that video and I haven't seen it, but I'm sure that there's a lot more context that needs to be brought in, he would have gladly had her on to debate it.
Yeah.
Right?
I know the context of what she's talking about, and it's not about African Americans. It's about the refugees and the migrants that have been coming over, what's happened to Dearborn, Michigan, and other parts of the country. That's the great replacement theory at play.
Yeah.
Not Jasmine Crockett, who I'm finding out just now is an attorney.
She is.
Wow.
Yeah, she's an attorney. I mean, she's got a whole thing. She's an attorney. I don't know if, I guess she's a civil rights attorney. She went to, you know how I make the joke, private school Jasmine? Because you got private school Jasmine, where private school Jasmine shows up on CNN, but then when she goes back into the district, you got street Jasmine, where she starts talking, street, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, the real, Jasmine Crockett, please, stand up. But as usual, according to you, she is taking Charlie Kirk's comments way out of context, which is what she does. Gavin Newsom had this to say yesterday.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
So tough guy Gavin Newsom wants to unmask ICE, and we've got Jonathan Fahey, of course, on the line with us. Jonathan, you, of course, during the first Trump administration, acting director of ICE at one time. Let's talk about all of this. I mean, Gavin Newsom, first of all, a lot of people pointing out the obvious. Number one, what are you afraid of? Oh, I don't know. We've just had a political assassination, and the doxing of ICE agents is a real thing. But number two, Gavin Newsom doesn't have the authority to tell federal agents what to do.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it just shows how cynical he is, because under the supremacy clause, he cannot do this. And this has been something that's been litigated. You know, there's a 100-year-old Supreme Court precedent on this. Basically, federal officers conducting their duties as they're supposed to, a state official can't arrest them while they're doing it or for doing it. And Gavin Newsom knows this, and that's what makes this so cynical. It's just performative, and it is funny watching, you know, he and Pritzker are both trying to be like an alpha male after it's almost like the reaction to, you know, Tim Walz, right? Like, it's like, we're not Tim Walz, please, you know, look at us. But it is funny that it's like, yeah, this is all this guy does. It's all performative. It's so cynical. And the irony is, if they were to try to enforce this law and arrest ICE agents who are out there mass doing their job, they could be, those officers arresting the ICE agents could be arrested for obstruction of justice, which is the real irony here, is they are putting their own state agents in danger of being arrested on federal charges, and they don't have any sort of immunity for it. So, yeah, all cynicism from Gavin Newsom, all performative, cares nothing about the, you know, law enforcement, which no Democrats do, but also nothing about the safety of Californians, because his main goal is trying to be president, trying to show how tough he is, so every time he could stand up to Trump, beat his chest, play the games, that elevates him. And if anyone looks at California's record under him, they're never voting for him. So he has to try to make it about something else.
Well, and the thing is, when you look at it, the word that you used was the word cynical. I think, yes, that's a great word to use. Also, he's just blatantly lying. That's the other thing. And you would think, and this is where I'm going to ask you to put your political hat on, you would think that the people of California and the people of America would actually take a step back and read beyond just Gavin Newsom, you know, and his chest beating, and ask the question as to whether or not he's really allowed to do this. The really sad part is that he believes that this is the way to earn Democrat voters, by basically lying to them and telling them what he thinks that they want to hear.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It really shows where the Democratic Party is, because, yeah, the Democratic Party is far left of even California, meaning on the national level. So he has to appeal to this extreme base, or he will not get any traction as the nominee. So it really shows, you know, that more than anything else. And he probably, you know, he tried to moderate a little bit, I think, in the spring on a couple of issues, and came swinging back hard left when he realized that wasn't going to work. So, yeah, I think it does. And, you know, what's really interesting about this, you hear so much of, you know, Donald Trump, authoritarian, dictator, all this stuff. Well, isn't this what he's trying to do? It's like, I'm a state governor trying to basically take over how the federal government can enforce federal law. So he's the one abusing power, because everyone knows, anyone that went to, you know, took government in high school, which I presume they still have in California, that knows that you know, federal law is supreme. So this isn't even like a close case. It's not even an arguable case in court. And any prosecutor that would try to bring this in California, I think, would have a danger of being, you know, sued for malicious prosecution, because it's so clearly unconstitutional.
Well, performative, no substance, and a lie. I mean, that really does define the Democrat Party right now. Talking about Gavin Newsom, just real quick, one of the things that I find fascinating is that he's not trying to unmask Antifa. He's not trying to unmask these folks that were throwing rocks and bricks at ICE vehicles in California. He's trying to unmask ICE agents. And again, as I said previously in this broadcast, at least once or twice, doxing is a thing. doxing is a real thing. And yes, we did just have a political assassination in this country. And yes, we do still have Democrats that are calling, ICE agents, Nazis and fascists and all of these other things. And I don't know if I've ever seen a time period where a political party, the Democrats, have been so incredibly tone deaf as right now.
Yeah, they are really out there as a party, meaning out of touch with the American people, and it's really shocking that how willing they are to put law enforcement officers in danger. Yeah, exactly. They never say anything about Antifa, and he also never says anything about, at least that I'm aware of, the officers getting doxxed. Like, at least it would be a nice little, at least bookend of this thing to say, and another thing, don't dox these agents when they're unmasked. But he doesn't say that, right? Because he's not going to ever stand up for law enforcement, never stand up to the far left. The Democrats are just terrified of the far left. You see both he and Pritzker, who are presumably sort of vying for this nomination in 2028, are both using the same playbook, but it really is a reflection not really of them, because Gavin Newsom has no principles whatsoever. If the Democratic Party moderated, he'd moderate. So he's just a reflection of what they are right now, which is a really, really ugly party. And right after having the political assassination, it's still shocking to me how they didn't take maybe a week or so just to kind of like moderate and take a step back. And, there's just there's no maturity on their side. There's no judgment. It is just full on anti-Trump, anti-ICE, pro, open border at all costs. And it's pretty shocking. And I do think even the average California voter probably is a little bit alarmed by this.
Well, you know what, Jonathan, you would think, but I can guarantee you that in the next election, they're going to continue to vote Democrat at the local level and at the state level as well. It's what they do. And it is, I wish I could say that it's shocking. It's not at this point, knowing what I know about California and knowing how left it has become. One of the other things that I want to just get your take on, just real quick, because I know that a lot of people are talking about the return of Kamala Harris. Now, I don't know if you saw any of the interview that she did with Rachel Maddow last night, but one of the things that she is talking about, of course, is that Donald Trump is a fascist and all of the other just very familiar talking points that we have heard time and time again. I want to play this piece of audio real quick and get your take on it. This is Kamala Harris with Rachel Maddow. And again, as we're talking about the assassination culture that the Democrats seem to personify these days.
And right now we are dealing with, as I called him at my speech on the ellipse, a tyrant. We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump. And these titans of industry are not speaking up. And perhaps it is because his threats and the way he has used the weight of the federal government to take out vengeance on his critics is something that they fear, and I get that. I understand why they do. We've seen the demonstration of it.
It's like pre-November all over again, Jonathan. It's like she's like a broken record, right? It's the same thing over and over again, and they don't seem to realize that kind of rhetoric didn't work, and it's not going to work now. And I guess if she's going to run for president and this is what she has to offer, I say bring it on. Yeah,
it's so, it's very entertaining to listen to her because she's so unbelievably bad at this. If she was running for your, treasurer of the local HOA, I think people would think she's grossly unqualified. It's so amazing that after so many years in politics, she just has nothing of substance to say. And, the other part, I'm sure you've played why she didn't pick Pete Buttigieg is quite funny as well, because it just shows there's no intellectual firepower up there. She's like, I'm not a bigot. I just think everyone else is a bigot, which really isn't a really great message either. Mm-hmm. And what company would get away with that, saying we didn't hire a person who's gay, because we thought our customers are bigoted, not because we are. That wouldn't fly in the courts or anything. So it's just it is so funny watching her. But I think anyone knows her political career is over. It's just every time she gets on any platform, and these are Rachel Maddow and these very easy platforms, she's still a train wreck. And I'm sure everything is scripted and rehearsed, and she still can't even pull off like a simple softball interview.
Well, and I'll get into more detail on that interview with Rachel Maddow coming up. But one of the other things that she says is that Joe Biden was reckless for not dropping out sooner. And it's like, well, you could have called him out at any time. You could have said something. You could have forced the issue. She refused to do that. So as you have all of these people, clamoring to interview Kamala Harris, I would be interested to see if somebody calls her out on the fact that in the book, she does say that Biden was reckless for not dropping out sooner. Well, she could have forced the issue, and she chose not to. And she was out there saying that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. So I'll get into all of that coming up here on Nashville's Morning News. Jonathan, how can people find you on Twitter?
John for Fairfax, JONFORFAIRFAX. And any giveaways for the next 10 followers?
No, though. You know what? If we
a round of golf with Morgan Wallen, are we doing it today or is that next time?
No.
Okay.
Listen, if I had tickets to Morgan Wallen, I'd be using them myself. Morgan Wallen is a big fan of Morgan Wallen. Anyway, thank you, Jonathan. Always great to have you on.